Hello, I'm back with a new video here on my homemade four-wheeler. Just going to point out a few recent changes and additions I've done. Mainly, the latest big addition was the upgrading to 45-inch width. It used to be 40 inches and a half. As you can see, that right tire is off. The front end needs some major adjustment. Haven't gotten around to that yet. In the back, I also upgraded to 45 inches. I changed the entire axle, hubs and all, including the brake and sprocket hubs. Not sure how well you can see that there. I also added an airbox. It's off a Yamaha YFC 450. Got that off eBay. I also now have a gas tank. Aside from that, there's nothing much new. I lengthened the shifter a bit. It's a bit uncomfortable, too short. And on the other side, I changed the brake lever from going under the foot peg to going above the foot peg. I noticed that with it going under the foot peg, it would get hung up on logs and stuff. Also, I might need to change this angle here because, as you can see, it's still below the angle, pardon me, not the angle, the lower chassis rail, so it still might get hung up on stuff. As you can see, everything is pretty rusty. I need to get it all torn apart, cleaned up. I'm just trying to get the main details done so I can disassemble it, get the frame completely stripped, and get a good paint job. Just as additional information, in the back here I have these Kenda tires. They're 18 by 950 on an 8-inch wheel. They're actually designed to run tubeless, but as these are lawn tractor wheels, and I don't think they're 100% airtight, so I'm running them with inner tubes. On the front, I've got their Duro, and these are 20 by 7, also on 8-inch wheels. Wheels are actually from a Vespa scooter. They're modified before I got them. I don't know how clearly you can see that, but they originally, both sides, because they're split wheels, both sides had the center hole was this big, because on those scooters the brake drum is part of the hub and it sticks through the center of the wheel. So somebody welded a plate over the middle hole, then machined up the center hole and drilled the bolt holes. As I said, they were that way when I got them, so I don't know for what purpose exactly that was done, but it suited my purpose just fine. Basically, give you a top view here with the carb and intake boot. As you can see, the intake boot is running with the curve flat instead of vertical. This intake boot is made to run on a vertical position to clear the original shock on the Yamaha. But because of the setup I have here, I had to run it sideways so it would go over the shock instead of beside the shock. This hole here is this cover here. This is to cover a hole because this is off a fuel injected model, so it had a sensor there, so I had to cover that up. The tank is mounted on rubber grommets there. I'm not sure how strong it is. It's off one of those Chinese ATVs, so I don't know how strong or durable that's going to be. As you can see, the whole thing is pretty dirty. It's not in very good shape. I need to get it, as I said before, get it cleaned up and get it nice. Once I have everything done, get it nicely cleaned up and painted. Another detail here. This is the neutral indicator light, and this is the 5th gear indicator light. The reason I have a 5th gear indicator light is because this motor, it's a Honda 125cc motor, It's off a small bike. It has a rotary gearbox. That is to say, if you're shifting up, you go all the way to 5th gear, and if you hit the shifter one more time, it'll go in neutral, which is not a great problem. But if you hit it one more time, you're going to go back into 1st gear, and that's going to make for some unpleasant sounds and feelings. So that's why I have a 5th gear indicator light. Actually, the gearbox has a switch, and that would be these cables here that will give you every single gear, but I didn't find it necessary to hook up the other gears. Just note on the shocks I'm using, the fronts are Works dual rakes. I was told they were off a Yamaha Blaster. I can't confirm that. Unfortunately, they're blown. They need a rebuild. I'm not sure when I'm going to get that done. As you can see, they're in pretty sad shape. The rear shock, let me get around here. The rear shock is off Kawasaki KFX 400, or it would be the same as a Suzuki Z400. It works pretty well. You can see it's got a reservoir there. That one I got off eBay too. Let me give you a front view here of how I got the additional width up front. As you can see, there's fresh welding here. Originally, this border here was flush up to here. So what I did was I cut this out, I notched it out, and I machined this. It's actually thicker than the original. The original was 17 millimeters thick. This one is 20 millimeters thick where the bearings run. Up here it's an inch thick, which would be 25.4 millimeters. I would actually prefer to have redone the whole front A-arms to get the width there instead of extending the center where the bearings run. But presently I didn't feel up to redoing the whole front suspension, as it's quite a job. So I just did that. I hope it holds up. I might have to weld in a gusset there. It doesn't look so pretty, but it works fine. As you can see here, I've got a lot of loose cables and stuff. Basically right now the electrical system isn't done. What it's got is running just the ignition circuit. This motor fortunately will run with no battery. The battery circuit and the charging light circuit is completely separate from the ignition circuit. So it's running right now just on the ignition. I planned to mount the headlights and the tail light. Actually, you can see there, those holes are drilled for the tail light. I took it off last night because it was vibrating loose. And I plan to use some sort of headlights up front. This motor has electric start. It's not hooked up right now. You can see there, that's the positive terminal. And up front here we have the battery holding bracket. You can't see it very well, but that piece of plate is where it sits, and this plate is what holds in place. One other thing I have to get done yet is making the seat, because it's not very comfortable to ride the way it is. Here it is running. Note on the exhaust. It's all homemade. The outer plate, as I recall, is from an old computer gauge, and that perforated aluminum core, I think you can see it, I'll probably have a still picture afterwards, is, from what I can tell, I picked it up at a junkyard. It is perforated aluminum. It was a pan for making French bread. So as you can see, there's a bit of everything in this thing. I'll rev it up a bit so you can hear in a minute. And the reason it smokes like that is because it's running premix. It's the only gas I can find around. I know it's not good for the carb or anything else, but that's all I had at the moment, so I needed to start it. So it's burning 2-stroke premix, and since it's a 4-stroke, it's going to smoke. Well, I think that's all for right now. Thank you for watching.